As Dick said, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Slinkman. My wife and I and our 3 kids have been coming to Grace Point for a while. My wife and I since 1997, so 20 years this year, except for 2 different stints. We had the opportunity to live in Dallas, Texas for 3 years, from 98 to 2001. And then more recently, we had a chance to live right outside of Phoenix, Arizona, in Chandler, Arizona, from 2012 to 2015. But each time we've left the area and come back, we've come back to Grace Point. Growing up in a Christian house, all my life, my parents were Christians. I counted a privilege to be raised in a Christian house, but missions were always something, and no pun intended, but that were foreign to me. Everything I thought about missions was, oh, that missionary over in the Philippines, that missionary over in Thailand. And it wasn't, until much later in life that I realized that missions was actually, God was calling us to be the mission field right outside the doors here of our church. And to add to that, back in around the year 2000, 2001, I became friends with a gentleman by the name of Matt Hook, who some of you might remember. He and his wife Heather is here today. Matt called me one day and he said, Chris, Heather and I and our family are moving to downtown Aurora. And my first reaction, to be raw and real with you today, was to say, what are you doing? Why would you do that? And Matt said, because that's what God's calling us to do. And I said, well, Matt, maybe that's what God's calling you to do, but I don't know that necessarily that's what God's calling me to do. Matt would invite me often to come out, and I had 1,001 excuses as to why I couldn't do that. And the truth of the matter is, I had heard stories. I was scared. I heard about the gangs. I heard about the very people that Matt and Heather were ministering to. And I said, that's nice, but that's not who God's calling me to be. And I was so wrong. But as I'll talk about in a second, how Speak Love was formed. The first thing, I have a quote up there from Brennan Manning. If you back up one slide, sorry. In every encounter in life, we have the ability, no matter your status, your stature, who you are in life, you have the ability to give life or take life in every interaction we have. And that's a pretty powerful thing as we move forward into Speak Love. Back in 2012, I managed to, as I mentioned, my wife and I and our kids moved to Chandler, Arizona. We got involved in a ministry called Live Love, and this is where God changed my heart. And it was a ministry founded by some of the folks in our church to reach the local community. Much like downtown Aurora, Chandler is split into 2 different socioeconomic status, that definitely the haves and the have-nots, 2 completely different sides of Chandler. Again, much like Naperville and or downtown Aurora. And the thing is, the church we went to was about 700 or 800 people. And not a very big church, all things considered, over 3 services. Some of the people that went to our church, though, were players that played for the Arizona Cardinals, the football team, the Arizona Diamondbacks, people that our lead singer was our worship pastor was the lead singer of the Christian group, the Afters. So we went to church with some people that I would say were of some influence. And the thing with Live Love is they didn't approach these people and say, hey, we want your money. They really talked to us as a church about wanting our time and investing in people. So when my wife and I got involved in Live Love in 2012, we did community service projects within the areas of Chandler that they had talked about. And we got involved, and we were doing things at night in the community. And I realized that, these are people that, these are God's people, much like the CareNet people talked about and the other ministries talked about. These are people that God created. And when you had a chance to look into their eyes and see that these people are no different than you or I, for years I had made excuses, as I mentioned, about being the Christian that would sit on my hands and say, I'd gladly send money, Matt, rather than go to downtown Aurora. I'd gladly send money, but that's not what God's calling me to do. And again, in 2012, we we were able to get involved in this ministry, and we're heavily involved in it for 3 years. One of the main advantages is that, because that was the other thing, I work a full-time job, much like most of you do. I've been with the same company for about 20 years, and vacation time was scarce, time and resources were scarce, and this was an opportunity for me to serve with my family. And one of the things that I wanted my kids to see in our lives and in their lives is that they live in what I call the entitlement generation. And I certainly don't want them to be part of that, not only yesterday, but today and tomorrow as well, as they live their lives and they go about their lives. And the profound impact that Live Love had on me, when we came back to Naperville, I said, I don't really know of anything, so I'm going to give my friend Matt a call and try to re-engage with him. And therein Speak Love was formed. So if you could go to the next slide. Our mission statement is to build intentional, long-term relationships within economically challenged communities to bring the hope and love of Jesus Christ to people that might not otherwise know him. By meeting physical and spiritual needs, we can be the hands and feet of Jesus and be Christ-like examples of his love. The thing with Speak Love and with Live Love is, as a church, I think we've done a very good job of meeting needs in foreign missions. I think we've done a very good job of meeting needs when there's a hurricane in Haiti, or when there's a situation around the world. We're quick to send a team. Where I think that Live Love and Speak Love specifically differ is we're in it to build intentional, long-term relationships with people. One of the first events we had at the school in downtown Aurora, which I'll talk about more in a few minutes, the principal said, "This is great that you're doing this, but many people have done this. People come and go." And my exact words, if you remember, Heather, to Frank or Francisco were, "Frank, we're going to keep coming back. Even if it's just me, my wife, and my kids, we're going to keep coming back." And 2 years later, as you'll see in a minute, we've been able to do that. We've held several events at Brady. We started, as I mentioned, in March of 2016 with Breakfast and a Book, where we were able to get some book donations from people of the church and some of the local bookstores and provide breakfast to the folks. We now do movie nights, which, by the way, a little plug, we've got a movie night coming up Friday night in downtown Aurora. If you're not doing anything, we'd love to have you out there. Come see us at the table. We've got some information on that. And then we come alongside other ministries. There's a gift mart that takes place in downtown Aurora, where people can come and buy gifts for their kids at a discounted price. And again, all made through donations. So that's headed up by Community 412, which is part of the Yellow Box Church, but we partner alongside them and volunteer at that event. We were able to, the bottom picture there is, there was an organization that donated a playground set to Brady, and if you would have seen their other playground set, it was straight from 1960, and I kid you not. And we were able to, this was just installed this summer, and we had a team out there volunteering of people to help put that together. We assisted with the back-to-school barbecue that they had last month. The idea with Speak Love is we want to give people an opportunity to donate and invest their time, over so many events across the year. The idea is that we know that not everyone can make every event, but we want to make it so that there's a local event, so that if you don't have the means, the time, the energy to send your, because we have some very good foreign mission trips here at Grace Point and other churches, but if you don't have the means, the time to go, or often you see one parent go or one child go, this is an opportunity for the whole family. It's literally as the crow flies, not even 10 miles from where we're sitting today, and it allows the whole family to be able to serve together. So again, some of our goals is, we want to meet the physical needs to help, meet the spiritual needs. I believe that, if you come in, trying to meet the spiritual needs first, I feel that might, that people necessarily, are saying if I'm hungry, if I'm in need, I'm not really hearing the spiritual aspect of that. The school that we've partnered with right now, Brady Elementary, 90% of the school lives below the poverty level. We talked about the numbers a little bit earlier. At our event in March, there was a lady that came with 3 little kids. She She didn't speak any English. Her kids didn't speak any English. And when I was talking to Heather a little bit about her afterwards, trying to understand, and again, trying to build long-term intentional relationships with people, we found out that this woman had just come up from Mexico and her husband had been killed by the cartel just a couple of weeks before. And so the people that we're working with are people that really are coming up to try to make a better life for their family. And we do deal with a lot of immigrants, at Brady, and a lot of people that have a physical need that needs to be met, but the spiritual need is there as well. And I feel by meeting their physical need first, we can certainly work to meet their spiritual need eventually. Our ultimate goal is to bring people into relationships with Jesus Christ. As I said earlier, Speak Love was founded as a way really for my wife and I and our kids to get involved with local missions and bring people literally right outside our doors to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. We want to bring hope and light to people in communities that may seem like there is no hope. If you've spent any time in downtown Aurora, they've done a nice job recently of turning it around, but the poverty level is still extremely high down there. And again, as I said, that's not even 10 miles from where we sit today. Probably 7 or 8, Heather. Is that more accurate? So not very far. And again, if you talk to most people, if you talk to most people in Naperville, they probably at least in the area I live, might not know that exists. We want to target specific areas within the local community, as I mentioned, like downtown Aurora, and work to build those long-term relationships. This isn't just a one-and-done activity. As I told Francisco that first night, we're going to keep coming back. And we've now, this is a public school that's opened their doors to us, a Christian organization. And we will pray with people. We'll pray with Francisco at each event. We're not hiding our faith. We're not hiding what we're doing or why we're doing it. But we're there to help meet a need with the ultimate goal, again, of bringing them into a relationship with Christ. And it was said before, but this 5th bullet point is important. We want to work to maintain dignity among the people that we're working with. That is of the utmost importance. We saw it with Live Love in Arizona, and we certainly want to emphasize that with Speak Love. These people are not looking for charity. They're not looking for handouts. They're looking for assistance, and I believe we used, the term was used earlier with loaves and fishes about wanting to maintain their dignity, and there is a sense of pride there, and we certainly want to we don't want to take that away from them. We want to make serving a key element of our mission. As I said before, the nice part is, and again, there's nothing wrong with the foreign mission trips, but that's a lot of time and energy. Our movie night on Friday night is a 2-hour commitment. Come out, spend time with the people of the community, get to know the people of the community. We're expecting between 100 and 150 kids to come out on Friday night. That's offering them a place to come in a safe environment. And I don't think it's any big secret. That's a heavy gang area. The school that we're working with goes up to 6th grade. Gang initiation is starting in that community between 5th and 6th grade. If we can reach these kids now and reach these families now, there's an alternative hope for them versus the street gangs that are out there today. We eventually would like to develop a church plant in downtown Aurora or get people plugged in a church plant that's down there already. As I said, we're okay doing it ourselves or coming alongside organizations that are like-minded to us to help further that goal. We want to work, to get the church involved of being, just the check writers. It's great. And in every organization that's up here today, yes, we do need finances. But the bigger thing is we want people's time. We want you to invest your lives into other people's lives. That's what I think God calls us to do. And again, it took me a while to get that message, so I can understand if you're sitting there today saying, hey, this doesn't make sense. Because it took me a while, certainly, to get it. The nice unintended part of this is that I've got friends and neighbors now that aren't believers. Matter of fact, I have a friend that's an atheist that's volunteering and coming out and helping us. And so it's a way to minister to people that I never had I thought, hey, we'll get people from the church involved. And there certainly has been a lot of people from Grace Point and other churches involved, but we're getting friends and neighbors that have no idea who Jesus is, that are coming out and helping us and hearing our testimony and hearing us, and seeing why we're doing what we're doing. Again, the idea is to offer something where we can serve once a month or once every 6 weeks, so that there's always opportunities for you to be able to get involved and serve here locally. And then again, of course, we want to continue to expand and get involved with community involvement in events. Downtown Aurora is a main focus for us right now. Brady Elementary is a main focus for us right now. But the idea is to really expand that locally as we continue to grow. We've been at this at 2 years. I was talking to a gentleman at church this morning that was talking to me about Speak Love. And in closing, one of the things that I'll tell you is when we started this ministry 2 years ago, I told some folks, I said, outside of my wife and my kids, I really don't know, who's going to come alongside us. And that's okay, because when God's calling you to do something, you go do it. And amazingly, all these events we've talked about, God has provided, whether it be through, people volunteering or the support to buy the candy for the movie nights or the popcorn or the books. It's amazing that, we sometimes want to put God in a box and say, he can't do this. And then when we just trust him to provide for us, he ultimately, and I know, people will say this, he will provide. And it's amazing as I look back over the last 2 years that we've had, dozens of events now where I just said to my wife, I have no idea where the next check is coming. I don't know, but God provides. And it's been the amazing part of this ministry is that he's called us to do it. And when he's called us to do it, he will continue to provide. So thank you very much for your time today. And I'll turn it over to Jeff.